Next guest, as we shift gears from mindfulness, is Kiley Higgs. She is the project manager for FSHD Clinical Trial Research Network. She must be at work.
I am. I am in clinic right now.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, thanks for being here, taking the time out. My goodness, during your hard work day. I mean, man, holy cow. Tell us a little bit about your work with the Clinical Trial Research Network, and a little bit about yourself, Kiley.
Yeah, so I am the lead project manager for the FSHD Clinical Trial Research Network. I have been working with Dr. Statlin for about 5 years now, and we work very closely with the FSHD Society. For those that have never heard of the CTRN, it is now an 18-site international research network. We have 6 sites in Europe and now 12 sites in the United States. We cover a pretty wide area in the United States. We try to have, I think we have a site on each coast, and we recently added a site into the Southwest, Southeast, and then we have, several sites scattered throughout the Midwest and everything. It's kind of an overarching umbrella, in FSHD research. So we have multiple research studies or within the network. We consult and collaborate with industry partners. We are often asked to advise on research protocols or to give information about FSHD and how kind of desperately needed therapeutics are. We collect a large number of biological samples that we share with researchers and industry partners. We're currently in the process of training the next generation of evaluators and young investigators. So Dr. Twill and Dr. Statlin have kind of done the heavy lifting for a while. We have some new younger sites coming on that we also are training to kind of get them more involved. We do a lot of patient engagement with the FSHD Society. We have a patient advisory council within our clinical trial research network that we call upon very often, and they've been tremendous amount of help with research studies and kind of recruitment ideas, ways to keep people in study. They give their advice on how to keep participants involved in research, how we can reach out to them and engage even more people within the FSHD community. We're currently running the largest research study in FSHD. That number has increased tremendously. We started with 160 patients, and now we anticipate having about 300 research participants throughout the world. So we're very proud of that, and that should conclude in the next 2 years. And that's with a lot of help from the FSHD Society. They were really one of the driving factors helping fund the expansion of that study. Wow. We're within that study, we're in the process of validating FSHD specific clinical outcome assessment. So we do a lot of work.
Yeah, you do. You do a lot of work. I'm lazy.
No.
My goodness. Holy cow. I know we've talked with past guests that have been on throughout the day already a little bit about, the clinical trial network. But from your point of view, and that's always important, to get the different points of view of how important is it to have that CTRN out there and working like it is.
Oh man, to me, it's with the collaboration of the FSHD Society, it has just made tremendous strides. I mean, it started with 4 sites like 5 years ago when I first came on at KU, and now we're 18 sites. And I think we're currently working with or in collaboration with about 10 drug companies. So it's, to me, been vital. It has made tremendous strides or helped make tremendous strides within the research.
So is that, I mean, I used to hear this term called, researchers worked in silos. Am I speaking right? And then they wouldn't really communicate much with each other for whatever reason. So does this just help like knock those down?
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things we've done by having the network and now having 18 institutions or 18 universities in it, no one is working alone. Everything we do is in collaboration. We've actually just recently developed 3 working groups. We have a biomarker working group, we have an imaging working group, and a remote assessments working group. And what we're doing is, instead of 1 or 2 people coming up with a research idea or coming up with a research study, we're leveraging the expertise within the network and having a whole group brainstorm of ideas on what to include in biomarkers or what to include in new studies, what we can add to studies to kind of help speed up therapeutic development and kind of give the industry and the therapeutic companies what they need in order to bring their drugs to clinic.
How tough has it been working with all you've been doing over this COVID time? I know you're wearing the mask, which I appreciate. You know, no one else is in here with me. If it was, I mean, I would have it on. So I'm all pro mask, no question. And, but with the struggle of COVID and dealing with that, how has that been in your world and the things you're doing?
So it's actually kind of ironic. Most would think that due to COVID, research has slowed down. I actually feel it's kind of the opposite. I feel that I've been busier than ever. I think for a lot of, especially the researchers and the physicians, maybe not being able to travel as much, they're focused. They're working round the clock on things that maybe traveling to conferences and stuff, that takes time away from, being in clinic, being,
Okay.
things like that are necessary and needed. Absolutely. But I think now having a lot of those virtually, I feel like we have even more work now, which is fantastic. I definitely don't think anything has slowed down. Some of our research studies have had to make exceptions or make a few adjustments in order to make sure that our visits are still being completed. But I think that that's kind of opened up the door for remote assessments, which is an area that I think is definitely needed in a lot of our research studies to kind of help ease the burden on patients, patient travel, and all of that. So it's kind of maybe where one door was closed, it's opened up another into like the remote assessment, virtual visit world.
Yeah. It seems like you've kind of then kept the doctors tied down then. So they're not,
I hate to say that because that's, sort of, I hate to say that, but, it takes time to travel and all of that. So I think
of course.
By doing a lot of this stuff virtually, I feel like people are now used to working from home, and it makes things a lot easier to, maybe have to adjust hours here and there and do things before work or a little after work. And I feel like it's a little less stressful having to do that.
Well, at least you found the positive side, right?
Yes,
of
always.
COVID pandemic, always. She says, "Man, yeah, you should write a book then too, or be a motivational speaker as well." Like I told Amy back here before, so you should be a motivational speaker. June Kinoshita chimed in and she says on Facebook here, she says, "For Kiley, research and working with patients and families is not just a job; it's a passion." Would you? I mean, I know this is going to be like almost like a pat yourself on the back, but no one's going to deny, even with the mask on, that we can see the passion, the way you talk about who you are, the tone in your voice, you get amped up. It appears. And I just love to kind of key in on that since June brought it up.
Yeah. So I kind of just happened into FSHD, the FSHD world. I worked with Dr. Statlin. He started this network. I was here at KU. He asked if I wanted to try out being a project manager for him. And I will 100% agree with June. I mean, I feel honored working with these patients. And I want to be there when a cure is found or when a therapeutic that works is found. I want to be there. I want to be a part of it. I want to be able to give that good news. So it is my drive to come to work every single day, to do things like this, to be the chapter leader in Kansas City, anything I can do to help.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We weren't going to say goodbye before we talked about that. Being the Kansas City chapter director on top of these things. So tell us about that. Tell us about your chapter. Gloat a little bit about the strong Kansas City chapter we have.
Yeah, fortunately, we are the lead clinical site or the lead coordinating site for the network, so it kind of was just a natural fit for us to do that. And in all honesty, Dr. Statlin is very active within our research community, within our patient community. He likes holding patient days. That's one of his favorite things to do, to give back to patients who participate in research, provide them with education and information anyway. So me kind of doing that on the side anyway, it just seemed like a natural fit. And it was very important, I know, for us to have a chapter here in the Kansas City area, because we do serve so many patients, and there are so many wonderful, wonderful volunteers and patients in the area that we absolutely wanted to make sure that we could give back to them. And it's always great to hear kind of what's going on within research, and then kind of within the FSHD community and what the society is doing.
Yeah, it really does appear that similar to, one of our sponsors for this event today is Dyne Therapeutics. We had Molly White on, and he's about patient communication and kind of putting a face to what they're working on, not just work on this cure, work on this treatment. And you're right in that same line, Kiley, you're kind of cut from the same cloth, is that, you don't see it just as, oh, it's FSHD, we'll fix it, it's faceless. You're right in it.
Oh man, I tell you what, some of these patients, I have some that I just love. And every time they come in for a research visit, two of my coordinators that see them, I'm always like, oh, I love them. Tell them I say hello. I do. I love so many of these people. I love their stories. It's just, it just brings me so much joy to be able to give them good news, or to give them some sort of hope, provide them with any information. And like I said, hopefully someday we'll be able to tell them the best news yet.
Best news yet. Yeah. And that the fact that you're so much a part of it. When it comes to the connection you have with the patients, has it been tough being with the Kansas City chapter director, having to do so many things virtual? I'm sure you see some of the members as they come through where you work, but more of the community and events and involvement for FSHD Society. Has that been a tough adjustment, going from like a face-to-face meetings to like virtual?
Yeah, and I think it was hard for us too, because it was really kind of our first year when COVID hit. So I think that was a little bit difficult. We just had our family day for the year, and we had a pretty good turnout. I think, unfortunately, we've probably kind of overwhelmed a lot of people. I think just a lot of people are overwhelmed with all of the virtual events. But I also think that we had some participants that maybe had never done it before, and they were able to join because it was virtually. So I think it's kind of that double-edged sword that, yeah, it's been difficult, but I also think we've engaged some people that maybe haven't ever been able to be a part of it before.
Yeah, I think I agree there. That virtually is definitely a platform then for those that can't travel or don't want to necessarily.
Yeah.
They can kind of be at home, be in their comfort zone, and kind of see what the chapter is about. Sometimes building those chapters are awful difficult, and COVID, you're right, did not help in that cause. So then, what do you hope for then in 2021, assuming that we can at some point in this upcoming year get past COVID? Are you looking forward to those face-to-face events if you can plan them?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm excited about the walk. Our office, we're a small department, but our office is usually pretty involved in any of the fundraising walks that we do. So we had a team, but I'm excited for this year, or for next year, I guess, to have a larger team and be a little more active in the fundraising portion.
Yeah, it was tough. I loved being a part of the virtual, walk and rolls, but I could sense that, people were definitely missing, when they get to the parks or wherever they're going to go and kind of do the things that they would normally do during that kind of day. This was fine, and it was a nice virtual option to see what all other chapters were doing. But there's some certain things in life, right? You just need to be together, and that's kind of what you feed off of that energy. With all this and and everything you were doing for the FSHD community, FSHD society. And a day like this, the Giving Tuesday, if you had to implore people to give today, of all days, where we got a match out there of $175,000, Kiley, that a group of people
Wow.
have put together to match. What's your help us speech or go get them speech?
We are so close. I mean, we are so incredibly close. I say donate to help us get there faster. There's still a lot of work to be done. With the progression of the disease and how different FSHD is from so many other muscular dystrophies, we still have a lot to learn. And any cent that you can donate goes a very, very long way. I can't say enough how much the FSHD Society has done for our network, has done for Dr. Statlin and Dr. Tawil. They've just been, I don't even know the right word. They've been unbelievable. So we appreciate their help. We need their help. And we appreciate anyone's donation to help us in any research that we can do.
Well, thank you for doing all what you do, Kiley. It sounds like you're doing more than your share for sure. It's a pleasure talking to you today. I'm glad you could take the time out of the busy schedule to join us a little bit on this Giving Tuesday event. Keep at it. Stay healthy. Thank you for doing everything you do for us as a community. It's so appreciated. You have no idea.
No, thank you. It was absolutely my pleasure. You stay healthy as well.